But another one bites the dust.
What does that mean?
CNN lost Wolf Blitzer. Well, it looks like...
Wait, he didn't quit over the affair.
No, but they lost him, right? At the end of the day, he's questioning the war.
He'll be back.
He'll be back.
Where's he going to go? He's got nowhere else to go.
I got nobody. You did an officer and a gentleman. That's awesome, too. That is so much like that.
Old man references. That's what I got a million of them.
Isn't it? That's what he says, D-O-R. I want your resignation. Louis Gossett Jr., Richard Gere, go see it. But this is Joy-Ann Reid.
Yeah, one of the greats.
When you got a pro-war network and they start questioning the war, it looks like the cookie might be crumbling. Take a look at this.
Joy-Ann Reid's questioning the war?
Over here. The tactics, maybe. Take a listen.
We should be able to agree on a few fundamentals. First, that it is wrong to kill children. Whether they are Israeli children or Palestinian children, it is wrong to kill kids in a concert field or in a kibbutz or in a hospital. In fact, it is morally repugnant. If we can't agree on that, then we can't be friends.
What?
We should also agree that anti-Semitism is wrong. Full stop, period. And it should horrify everyone that we're seeing attacks against Jewish people here and abroad, like the online messages threatening violence against Jewish students at Cornell University, or the anti-Semitic mob that stormed an airport tarmac in Russia, apparently searching for Jewish passengers on a flight from Israel.
Okay, that was in Dagestan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like,
this is the disclaimer, right? So she's got to what she said at first. She has to provide herself some cover to say what she's saying next. So in other words, she has to talk about the anti-Semitism because she just talked about it's wrong what Israel's doing.
Okay, so wait, hold on. The Dagestan mob attack? I believe you. That's very threatening to come off a plane. The
Russia
online threats, if you don't feel safe from online threats, I don't. If I got to hear one more, I don't feel safe from online. Here's something you can guarantee when you get an online threat via social media: your life's not in danger. I promise you. People are going to kill you when they send you an online threat. They don't threaten you. They go, hey, let's hang out. That's what people do when they want to kill you. All right. She's lip service, but it just bugs me the hell out of me that they're acting like that's even close.
Or the Heil Hitler message projected on an interstate overpass in Georgia. None of this is okay, needless to say. And no matter how you feel about the government in Israel and what that government does, that is not an excuse to take out your anger on individual Jewish people, whether they're Americans or Israelis or British or random passengers on a plane. Keep in mind, some of your strongest allies in your outrage on behalf of Palestinians are Jewish. They are protesting beside you and getting arrested with you at those protests. And many of them are walking around in shock and horror and fear right now because of October 7th, worrying about their families and wondering who their friends are. Likewise, you can't judge every Palestinian or every Muslim or every Arab based on what Hamas did any more than you could have judged every American by the fact that some Americans elected a religious extremist backed wannabe autocrat, and now multiple indicted criminal whose MAGA movement tried to violently overthrow the government and still might. And again, it should be needless to say, being for Palestinians' freedom and staying alive does not mean you love Hamas or support them.
She's trying to keep the coalition alive, and let's fight the real enemy, Trump. That's what she's trying to do.
Well, I mean, yeah, too.
But to her credit, a lot of Jews, like I keep saying it ad nauseum, Jews are the ones that told me about what's going on over there.
Yeah.
So to even say, the Jews, this and that, you're way out of line.
Yeah.
But that's a good point she made. I give it to her.
I mean, she goes on a little bit further, talk about this too as well, talking about it's American money, American bombs, we're funding this. And like she said in the open of this dialogue over here, we can't be friends if you think it's okay for what Israel's doing, bombing civilians and bombing children.
Well, I hope she enjoys her last day.
She did circle the wagons. She did provide herself some cover, which she did, and once again went back to blame it against Trump too as well.
Do you know how?
Go ahead.
Do you know how bad the crime is of Israel starving all the civilians and bombing all the civilians? How bad of a crime that is for Joy-Ann Reid to have to try to be even-handed?
Yeah.
You know how she still got her religious extremist right-wing Trump nonsense out of her dumb face, but look at how they've boxed her in to have to kind of be fair about a topic.
Yeah. She just said we can't be friends if you're cool with what
Joy,
Israel's doing.
They're never your friend. Nobody's your friend, Joy. Nobody was your friend.
Look, I think this is good in a way. I don't necessarily always agree with Joy-Ann Reid. She had to throw her Trump stuff in. And that's why I brought this particular clip, because a lot of people are playing the other clip, the second half of this, where she just talks about what's going on, that it's American dollars doing this. This is wrong. Very, very, very much so. But I wanted to also put in that she is providing herself cover. She did talk about the anti-Semitism that's going on in campuses, which, I talked about with a friend the other day. He reminded me of something that he went through 50 years ago when he was in college, but it's just not the situation right now, right? And I'm saying like that, what's going on in America, in the West, and yes, around the world, what you talked about in Russia, that's very concerning. But in the United States, Jewish people don't feel uncomfortable. I don't see a white guy walk down the street and go, I wonder if he's Jewish. You know what I'm saying?
In the higher education, the home of the I don't feel safe,
yeah.
which everybody in their mother identity group has been using the I don't feel safe for the last 10 years, as if I care how you feel. What I think, I agree with the students doing die-ins to protest for the Palestinians.
Yeah.
Put them all on a list. Put them all on a list. And then to be extra funny, hire a guy named Schindler to be in charge of that list.
Gotcha. That's he gave me the eyes. Can I just say something too? I went out to a protest last week to cover the protest, to speak to some people. If I have any criticisms for the protesters, I think they need more spokespeople, right? Like they need young Palestinian men in these groups to come out and speak more. They were very hesitant to come speak to me. I told them what network I work for. I showed them both my channels. I showed them tweets. I'm like, listen, this is where I'm at. I need you to come say this stuff. It's different when I say this stuff. It was very hard to find somebody to speak to. I got a couple interviews and I did so. So I would just say this much. If I have any criticism to this movement right now, is to, number one, find some good spokespeople who understand. I did find a couple that were great when able to explain the situation. Do that. Number two, any of these people who are ripping off the signs and everything you said this a long time ago when this situation happened. Anybody who's cheerleading from any side, going rah, rah, rah for any side is really hurting the situation. It's not helping us out.
That's
whatsoever.
the American way. You know, we've been trained to protest like idiots on purpose. I mean, I'm pretty sure all the hippies everybody hates, pretty sure that was CIA. I think it was CIA.
Yeah.
Because they used to wear suits, the anti-war people. Then all of a sudden they're drugged out hippies. So in America, well, actually in Europe too, protests are handled in the dumbest possible way to alienate people. So what I would say is how Norman Finkelstein did it, where possibly before we talked to him, I on purpose didn't want to know anything about this conflict. When you guys were mad at RFK, I was like, well, what does he got to care about that? Like I'm not worried. So until that guy just put it to me in basic terms, look, there's 2 million people jammed into a concentration camp. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that, even what I didn't know. And that's because every other person, it's either some screaming, stupid, hollering college child tantrum, okay, or the stop oil now protest, that kind of moronic way to protest. Yeah. If you protest like a moron, you are working into the hands of whoever the person who doesn't want you to succeed is. Yeah. Just stay on target. That's all I'm saying.
Stay focused. And you're right. First off, Kurt, don't get too excited. You're getting a little excited over there. But
yeah, I am.
I know, but it's okay. I get you're passionate about it. But let me tell you this much. In a lot of these protests, and I've gone out to a ton of protests, and the protest I want out there, a lot of people aren't out there to settle a land dispute. They're not out there to relive history, rewrite history. They're not out there for anything else. The thing they're out there most for is a ceasefire. That's the number one issue. The majority of those people are out there. A ceasefire. That's it. Yeah. Can't we all agree on that? And that's what it is. So no matter how much the mainstream media tries to twist this narrative and saying these are pro-Hamas marches, they are not. They don't understand the history of Hamas. Yeah. They don't understand who funds Hamas. They don't even understand where Hamas comes from.
How much you want to bet, Pasta? How much you want to bet that much like January 6th and the Antifa and the BLM, where there's agent provocateurs there, leaving bricks and encouraging fires and all that kind of stuff, I'm sure, because I know you're talking about ceasefire protests. I am with that 100%. I'm sure, and I'm not saying they're feds or anything, but I'm sure there's people in there whose job it is to be real provocative and be real anti-Semitic to discredit the people that would like a ceasefire.
That's how it always is. And that's why we talk about a lot of these Black Lives Matter rallies that I go to. The leadership would leave early. They wouldn't push any type of violence and whatnot. It was the people who were left over after the organizers left that would start problems, mess around. A lot of homeless people would join these, protests that are really angry. I saw a homeless dude, pretty much at a BLM protest where they went onto the highway and shut everything down. He picked up his skateboard and threw it through the back window of a police car, And it was like, dude, he wasn't part of the organizers. The organizers were yelling at him after, like, what are you doing? We're trying to have a peaceful protest.
Do you think that's why they decided to just steal all the money and buy a house instead of
that's a whole other thing.
Lives matter?
All those organizers, a lot of them been duped by Patrisse Cullors. I don't want to get into that, but you're right. The important thing is there are provocateurs at these rallies, but at the end of the day, these people aren't pro anything. They're anti-death. They see children getting killed, and they just want to cease fire. And that's what these protests are all about. And that's really, to tell you the truth, the disgustingness of the propaganda of the mainstream media that's out there trying to twist the narrative. And some people are buying it. And like, oh, this is kind of hitting some feelings of mine from back in the days. Listen, I get it. Back in the days and what happens outside this country, there might be some awful things that happen. And I think the state of Israel is what really fueling the anti-Semitism around the world anyways. But at these rallies, at these protests, the majority of these people, these young kids, they are just anti-death. They want a cease fire. And that's the truth about what's going on. And that's what should be told. Joyanne Reid, dents in the kinks in the armor, cracks in the dam. What do you think? Final thoughts.
She will be fired. She's pro Hamas. I take her as being pro Hamas.
Yeah, she's terrible. She's the one. It's funny because she's the one who started the whole Russiagate narrative one night. She was the one who first kicked it off. She talked about the whole Russian report came out. She was one of the first people.
She
who was
said horse goo. It started out as horse medicine, then it became horse paste. Then she said horse goo.
Yeah. A lot of people don't like her, but you know what? I'm glad she said this.
I just think she's a soulless, like all the rest of them. She has no. Wolf Blitzer, you saw his last of his soul when the guy was telling him the evil thing they're doing, and you saw, Wolf Blitzer still has some soul. That's interesting. Look how upset he is.
Come see us doing live shows. We're going to be in Levittown, Red Bank, New Jersey, Wilmington, Delaware, Covina, California, Burbank, California, Oxnard, California, Venice, California, Palmdale, California, Omaha, Nebraska, Des Moines, Iowa, Milwaukee, and Lansing, Michigan. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.